Hello Aquarius, welcome to your January shadow work reading. This is going to be for the shadow work that you need to do during January 2022. Before we get started, definitely make sure you take advantage of the 2022 coupon that I have going on. Ends January 1st. It's 22% off all of my services with the code 2022. And for those who are Patreon members, you get 30% off with the code that's in the Patreon dashboard. So definitely make sure you take advantage of it. For Patreon members, the code ends on my birthday, so you guys have a little bit more time. For everybody else, the code ends on the 1st of January. So we're going to be looking at Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Shadow work for Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising for January 2022. What is going on with Aquarius collectively, Sun, Moon, and Rising? Okay. Not the star card wanting to jump out. Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising for January 2022. What's going on? Okay. So y'all, okay. Y'all said no, we're coming back. Okay. Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising for January 2022. What's going on with you guys? Okay. Bottom of the deck, we have Death and we have the 5 of Wands. You guys know I always stop at the major arcana. So what is going on for Aquarius? Okay, well, first and foremost, I feel like you guys are getting back on track spiritually. You and Capricorn, I feel like, have similar readings. I feel like you guys are literally getting back on track, getting back on your journey, getting back on your flow. I feel like your season is going to be very healing to you, and it's going to be, you're going to be able to regain a little bit more control when it comes to your destiny, because there has been a little bit of chaos. So there is a transitionary period through the chaos that has been happening that quite literally this needed to happen. Let us not forget that Saturn is still transiting in Aquarius, so there's still a lot of lessons and issues that you are moving through and past that very much started becoming a larger issue during Scorpio season. Scorpio season was the birth of a lot of chaos, and it quite took a little bit of your spiritual practice into question. There were certain things that you had to kind of work through that felt very, very heavy, and that it almost kind of like you neglected certain parts of yourself spiritually. So January definitely requires for you to address your spiritual practice, address the way that you are nourishing and taking care of yourself in the long run. You need to make sure that you're making time for your growth and your elevation during this time. You cannot like neglect your practice, neglect what it is that you need to work on and what it is that you need to do, because you actively have a lot coming. It's like once your season comes through, you're going to be feeling a lot more yourself, a lot more sense, especially at the middle of the month. That's when it just switches, and then it's just like you move into detachment mode. You move into, I'm taking all of these swords out of my heart. I don't want to be upset. I want to heal. I want to make sure I'm okay. I want to make sure I'm in a good place. And so the chaos, okay, the chaos starts to kind of move. The chaos, it starts to shift. Even though Mars is still in Sagittarius, you still have that the energy just kind of moves into the next thing, and you're able to kind of focus on healing yourself. For January, you need to do a lot of healing work. You need to do a lot of self-love work, and you need to go back to your practice, your consistent practice. You have actively kind of, there were moments where you detached yourself completely to the point where you kind of were neglecting yourself there. And now it's like when the sun moves into Aquarius, when the sun moves into your energy, you get that boost of life, that breath of like, okay, I've been kind of suffocating a little bit. Let me navigate. You know, the Saturn return in Aquarius is happening right now is not necessarily, you know, it's not for the faint of heart, especially where it's sitting for most of us, due to the fact that most of millennials, we are part of the Saturn and Capricorn generation. So where Saturn and Aquarius falls for us tends to be very, very like, it's a little saucy. It's a lot of energy. But it's really about us getting back into the journey, getting back into alignment, and really upgrading and focusing on our individuality. That includes with our practice and the areas that have been neglected. There is a lot that you're healing from. emotionally, mentally, communications. There's a lot of things that were said that literally it almost like derailed your practice, because the things that were happening around you almost felt like, you know, why didn't you get the guidance for this? Why wasn't it clearer enough for you to understand? Why didn't the picture, why wasn't it, you know, clarified in a way that you would be like, you could have understood it without the breakdown needed to happen that it needed. You needed to go through this so you can understand what it is that you have been doing, where it has been that you have been at fault, that you now need to like move past, that you now need to grow past, so that way you can move into the next thing. Because there has been an active amount of like self-neglect and a lot of self-damage that you have been doing. And now that Saturn's in Aquarius, like it's holding you accountable for a lot of that. It's holding accountable for a lot of the words or even the inaction that you have taken in certain situations. And it almost like derailed your practice. If you started your practice last year, or if you know, started your practice a couple years ago and you've tried to, you know, you were flowing through different things, you know, the past couple of months definitely derailed you from a lot of what it is that you feel like, where you feel like you needed to be at. And it definitely felt like you lost yourself a little bit. And now moving into your season, you are going to need to focus on recuperating your energies, focusing on your journey, focusing on who you are, rebuilding, restructuring, and focusing on working with Saturn in a way that he's not beating you up every 5 seconds, but in a way where it's just like, okay, let me look at my foundational energy. Let me look at where I've been really fixed. My energies has really been fixed in a lot of toxicity that I need to heal from. Let me look at it. Let me take a deeper look into it. January, it's a very Saturn month, because Capricorn and Aquarius, they're both ruled, and you are co-ruled by Saturn. And so it requires for you to do the work in order for you to see any resolutions coming through. Okay, what's going on for Aquarius for their shadow work, sun, moon, and rising for January 2022? What's going on with Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising for January 2022? Okay, so we have rare opportunity, we have shed the old, and we have be still and go within. Okay, winter. There's definitely that energy is very, very much present. There is a shedding of the old, and there might be even a shift within your practice that you might have. You might completely end up, you know, moving into a different space. You might want to become initiated. You might, you know, the shift itself, it's absolutely needed, but it's a pretty big transition for you to go in as well. It definitely feels different, and it feels like you are shedding a lot. It feels like you're healing from a lot. It feels like you're sorting out the things that you have been detached on, that have been actively just a little bit chaotic, a little bit unnecessary, a little bit like, you know, like, why has this been like this? Why, like, there's a lot of reflection. Okay, this is an opportunity for you to heal a lot, and ultimately for you to set yourself up for success throughout the rest of Saturn transiting in Aquarius. To be quite honest with you, you can take this time as a really negative thing, or you can take it upon yourself to set yourself up for success, so that way later on you're able to benefit from your choices. There's a lot that you're healing from, and your practice, or even your spirits, the spirits that you work with, there's some spirits that might have left you. You might be working with different spirits. Your practice might literally completely have gone through a whole transformation. You might be starting over with your practice. There is a sense of like doing what it is that you need for you, being still, going within, reflecting within yourself, pulling the swords out of your heart, out of your mind, making sure that you're doing and setting yourself up for success. Okay, by doing the work that needs to be done, that requires you to be also gentle with yourself. What's going on with Aquarius collectively, sun, moon, and rising for their shadow work for the month of January 2022? What's going on with Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising? Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising. Okay, so you and your loved ones are safe, new moon in Cancer, and then you have a personal issue reaches a resolution, full moon in Cancer. It's funny because Capricorn literally got these exact 2 cards. There were 2 other ones, but these exact 2 cards. So it's so interesting that you guys are getting the Cancer energy. This is ultimately about nourishment, okay, because that's what Cancer energy 1000% is about. It's about nourishment. You guys need to nourish yourselves. You guys need to take time to take care of yourselves. You guys need to take time to look at, you know, where you have been at fault, where you have been, you know, neglecting and nourishing everything else, giving yourself away to everything else, hiding yourself away from everything else, and not nourishing yourself at all for quite some time now. It's like it's time for you to transition out of what you've been doing and move into what you need to do for yourself, so that you can be in a more stable place and actually sustain your future in a way that matters, okay? There's certain things that you're gonna find a lot of closure on, especially once you start shedding the old in January. You're gonna be able to find that closure, and again, just focus in on that self-care. If you focus on your self-care, you'll be able to navigate the situation and actually build yourself up. If you don't take care of yourself during this time and you just kind of just like a bull, just go head things straight on, it's gonna feel really, really aggressive on your spirit, and you're going to ultimately get drained, okay? What shadow work does Aquarius need to work on for the month of January, Sun, Moon, and Rising, for January 2022 collectively? What shadow work does Aquarius need to work on? Shadow work, okay. So let's see what we have. So we have, wow, we have grits. When a needle falls into a well, many people will look into the well, but few will go down after it, okay? And then we have lust. One who embraces a lot cannot squeeze very hard. Okay, and it's interesting because the bottom of the deck to the Nature Speaker Oracle was sexual energy. And I do feel like you guys are working through some pent-up energies as well. So let's see what's going on. Grit. I just gotta find grit first. Matter of fact, let's go to the table of contents so we can just get the page. Grit. Fire, 39. Right there, grit, okay. Wow, you guys can see the card from there. Okay, so when the needle falls into the well, many people look into the well, but few will go after it. Shadow element, involving oneself in situations that do not pertain to you and taking on the accompanying responsibilities in a resentful fashion. When the card pops in a reading, it indicates resentment you or someone may be feeling regarding situations you or someone may have inserted themselves into for no real reason other than to be involved. It is asking you to take a look at look to see if you are currently undergoing the stress of handling a problem or situation for someone else when it really isn't your responsibility to do so. For example, let's say you have two friends who are at odds. Once you insert yourselves either at the behest of them or take sides or on your own accord, you are now inserted into a quarrel that you could potentially have the disastrous consequences for your relationship with both parties. This can be applied to work issues, family issues. This card is a warning that inserting yourself into a problem others have with a party that is not you is baseless and low vibrational. It is telling you to refrain from bumping into non-serious confrontational issues that are in your own, because it only creates rifts and discontent in your world where there should otherwise be none, okay? And then we have lust. So there is an essence of mind your business, 45, with this reading. And then we have lust. One who embraces a lot cannot squeeze very hard. Shadow element, searching for something in someone or some action that you are missing in yourself. To be clear, this card is not talking about stringless sexual encounters, at least not in its entirety. It is talking about addictions and calling on to the shadow element of using actions, people, substances as boundless way to harness artificial happiness. It can be the need for affectionate connection to feel desired, or perhaps hopping from one committed relationship to a relationship to feel needed, or possibly drug or alcohol addiction to escape, or even uncommonly work addiction to feel productive, necessarily and is capable where you may feel you fall short in everyday life. Lust, while can be defined as sexual desire, and it is in this context using the latter definition of having passionate desire for something, yet anything that serves to fully fulfill your need. It is important for you to recognize that longing and figure out what you feel you're missing that keeps you returning to old patterns, and try to harvest these qualities within yourself. Is it love, escapism, validation, take a moment. Again, it goes into you pulling these swords out of your heart because there's a lot that you're working through. And because you guys, Aquarius, you guys rule society, the collective friends. There is that essence of, you know, you kind of needing to detach from everybody else and just kind of focusing on yourself during this time before you can bring your individuality out back into like the chaos that has been like created. There's definitely a lot going on socially, there's a lot going on internally. It's like you're going through something, but others are going through something, people you care about are going through something, and it's like you can't take everything on top of your own. You can't do that. You need to focus on why you're making the moves that you're making. And again, self-care is really the key for you to navigate this month in a productive way where you're going to be able to get what you need out of the month and heal the way that you need to heal. Okay, so let's look at the mudra that you should be using for your meditations. Which mudra should Aquarius be using for meditations for the month of January collectively, sun, moon, and rising? Which mudra should, okay. Alrighty then. So you have free flow of vital energy and you have global healing. Who is surprised? Attuned to the free flow of vital energy, I move with the rhythms of life smoothly and easily. And global energy, bathed in the crystal light of healing, I experience the sacred wholeness of my being. Okay, these are the two mudras you should be using and incorporating into your meditations. This is, oh, I'm sorry, I shook it. This is the back for those who are going to want to pause and read and look at the instructions and what it's helpful for. You take a screenshot, you can pause to read. But definitely make sure you take time to kind of just work on yourself. Self-care, absolutely needed, but this month requires you like to mind your business, work on yourself, and self-care. Literally. I hope you guys got the messages that you needed. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.